Welcome back to Bible study. We are currently on week 12 of our 8-week study on Philippians. The good news, we're starting week 6 finally. This week we're going to be studying Philippians chapter 3, 12 through 16. And in the theme of this section of scripture, I'd like to talk about racing for a minute. We just had the wonderful Beijing Olympics. And you had Usain Bolt running down that dash as quickly as he can, running 100 yards in about 9.5 seconds. How well do you think he would do running in the Boston Marathon? Or you have Lance Armstrong. He's been coming back lately. He wants to race another Tour de France. And he's already won a bunch of them, and he wants to win one more. How well do you think he'd do at ski jumping?
What?
The whole idea here is pretty much they're not going to be doing either of those particularly well, simply because that's not what they've trained to do. And we spoke about during last week's Bible study that even if you do the right thing for the right reason, that it's not always going to be something that God would have you do. And part of it is having that right relationship with God. What we need to do is run the race that has been set before us. Each one of us, individually as Christians, has been given a race to run. If you read in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, it says, the works that we are to do are laid out before us, even before we were saved. We are saved by grace, but we are saved to do the works that were specifically given to us. We each have our own race to run. We each need to concentrate on what we're doing. So, looking at this, what does it mean for a believer to specialize in the Christian race? Some of us are sprinters, some of us are long-distance runners, some of us are various things. It is something that we want to look at. How do we specialize as Christians? And while we're on the subject of athletic events, we have recently we had A-Rod come up in the story, simply because he was using things that give him a slight competitive edge over some of the other people. Why? So he could sign a contract for 10 years, $250 million. That might be a little incentive, but the whole problem is that steroids and other kind of drugs are rampant throughout the athletic world. Here we are, as Christians, running the athletic race. And we need to think about this. Do we, as Christians, try to enhance our performance? Do we try to take shortcuts? And really, are there parallels in the Christian race to what they do with steroids? And what kind of shortcuts do we as Christians take? According to Paul, the race is going to be long, it's going to be tiring. And what does this say about shortcuts? Also, towards the end of this section, Paul talks about pressing on, looking forward. One of the biggest problems to looking forward is forgetting what's behind us. When Usain Bolt was running, he wasn't running looking behind him, trying to see who was behind him. He was running looking forward. He was looking at the finish line. He was aiming right for that. When any racer takes to the competition, they are looking for the finish line. And that is their single goal. Now what this means, in order to reach that finish line, is sometimes all the stuff that happened in the past, sometimes some of the hard work, some of the failures, all that has to be set aside so that you can focus on what you're doing. Does God have the capability of using our past? Yes. And as a matter of fact, He quite often uses our pains and sufferings to help others along the way. But we cannot let the past stop us from the prize. In what ways does remembering the past make it more difficult to press toward the prize? And this is the very thing, because the past holds us all back in one way or another, and there are areas of the past that we all need to let go of. These are things that we're going to be thinking about, and we'll see you Saturday night to talk about it.